Okay. Incident 1. Matterhorn Bobsleds. Incident 1. On the evening of July 3rd, 1959, a 24-year-old Disneyland machinist from Anaheim, California, named Gary Dubach was checking the running gears of the bobsled ride when a bobsled filled with passengers raced down the track, knocking Dubach off the mountain, causing him to fall 100 feet. Dubach survived the fall with severe injuries to his arms, legs, and back, as well as numerous bruises, but received a bone removal to relieve pressure while treated at Santa Ana Community Hospital. Incident 2. Matterhorn Bobsleds. Incident 2. In May 1964, a 15-year-old boy from Long Beach, California named Mark Maples was injured after he stood up in the Matterhorn bobsleds and fell out. It was reported that his restraint was undone by his ride companion. He died 3 days later as a result of his injuries. This was Disneyland's first fatal incident. Incident 3. Matterhorn Bobsleds. Incident 3. On the evening of October 30th, 1971, a fire broke out in the upper level of the attraction. 3 individuals were slightly injured and the ride was closed for the remainder of the weekend. 5 Anaheim fire units responded and the blaze was shortly controlled. Incident 4. Matterhorn Bobsleds. Incident 4. On January 3rd, 1984, at about 3:30 p.m., a 48-year-old woman from Fremont, California, named Dolly Regine Young was decapitated after she was thrown from a Matterhorn bobsled car and then struck by the next oncoming bobsled. An investigation found that her seatbelt was not buckled since she was seated in the back. No one noticed her absence. It is unclear whether the victim deliberately unfastened her belt or if the seatbelt had malfunctioned. Incident 5. Mickey's Toontown. Incident 1. On February 14th, 1993, around 11:20 a.m., a chandelier fell in the Goofy's Bounce House attraction. 10 children were seen by first aid, with only 2 having received minor injuries. Incident 6. Mickey's Toontown. Incident 2. On May 28, 2013, 2 small explosions in trash cans caused the Mickey's Toontown area of the park to be evacuated. Officials believe the explosions were caused by 2 plastic bottles filled with dry ice or dry ice bombs taken from a nearby ice cream stand, and the bomb squad was called to investigate. No injuries were reported. A 22-year-old concession stand worker from Long Beach, California, named Christian Barnes was arrested and charged with creating and detonating the 2 dry ice bombs. Barnes pleaded guilty to 1 misdemeanor count of possession of a destructive device. He was sentenced to 36 days in jail, 3 years of informal probation, 100 hours of community service, and was banned for life from all Disney parks. Incident 7. Monorail. Incident 1. On June 17, 1966, a 19-year-old male named Thomas Guy Cleveland from Northridge, California, was killed while attempting to sneak into the park by climbing onto the monorail track. Ignoring a security officer's shouted warnings, he was struck by the train and dragged 30 to 40 feet down the track. Incident 8. Monorail Incident 2. On September 6, 1986, a 17-year-old male from Anaheim suffered second-degree burns after grabbing a 600-volt wire that powers the monorail while attempting to grab his hat from a visitor who threw the hat onto the tracks. Incident 9. New Orleans Square. On June 5, 2024, a 60-year-old employee named Bonnie Mavis Lear from Fullerton, California, lost her balance before she fell out of a moving golf cart and hit her head on the sidewalk near the Club 33 restaurant. Responders arrived to the accident scene at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. She was taken to a nearby hospital in grave condition and was pronounced dead from her injuries 2 days later. Incident 10. PeopleMover Incident Number 1. In August 1967, a 15-year-old boy from Hawthorne, California, named Ricky Lee Yama was killed while jumping between two moving PeopleMover cars as the ride passed through a tunnel. He stumbled and fell onto the track where an oncoming train of cars crushed him beneath its wheels and dragged his body a few hundred feet before it was stopped by a ride operator. Incident 11. PeopleMover Incident Number 2. In 1972, 4 teenage girls were riding the PeopleMover when one lost her mouse ears cap. She and her cousin jumped onto the track to retrieve it. Realizing that they had to get on a different PeopleMover car, the first girl successfully got into a car while the second girl ran through a tunnel and out the exit and then fell into a guardrail and onto the concrete 30 feet below. She broke her arm, hip, and pelvis and had to be placed in a body brace and have a pin inserted into her leg. Incident 12. PeopleMover Incident Number 3. On June 7, 1980, 18-year-old Gerardo Gonzalez was crushed and killed by the PeopleMover while jumping between moving cars. The accident occurred as the ride entered the superspeed tunnel and was very similar to the 1967 incident. Okay. Incident 13. Pack mules through Nature's Wonderland. On an unknown date before 1977, a mule's saddle broke, causing a rider to fall off and tumble down an incline, injuring him. Incident 14. Rivers of America Incident Number 1. On June 20th, 1973, an 18-year-old New York resident and his 10-year-old brother stayed on Tom Sawyer's Island past closing time by hiding in an area that is off limits to guests. When they wanted to leave the island, they tried to swim across the river, but the younger boy did not know how to swim. The older boy attempted to carry his brother on his back and drowned halfway across. His body was found the next morning. The younger brother was able to stay afloat by dog paddling until a ride operator rescued him. Incident 15. Rivers of America Incident Number 2. On June 4th, 1983, an 18-year-old male from Albuquerque, New Mexico, drowned in the rivers of America while trying to pilot a rubber emergency boat from Tom Sawyer's Island, which he and a friend had stolen from a restricted area of the island during Disneyland's annual grad night. Both individuals were intoxicated at the time of the incident. Incident 16, Rivers of America, Incident number 3. On January 21st, 2001, a 6-year-old girl lost 2/3 of her left index finger while playing with a toy rifle mounted on a turret on Fort Wilderness on Tom Sawyer's Island, which led to the removal of the toy rifles. The girl was rushed to a hospital, but doctors were unable to reattach her finger. Incident 17, Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin. On September 22nd, 2000, a 4-year-old boy named Brendan Zucker fell out of the ride vehicle on Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin and was dragged underneath the car, causing serious internal injuries, cardiac arrest, and brain damage. The victim never fully recovered from his injuries and died on January 26, 2009, age 13, at Children's Hospital of Orange County. Incident 18, Sailing Ship Columbia. On December 24, 1998, a heavy metal cleat fastened to the hull of the sailing ship Columbia Toulouse, striking one 30-year-old cast member and 2 park guests. One of the guests, a 33-year-old man, died of a head injury at UCI Medical Center 2 days later. Incident 19, Skyway Incident number 1. On April 5, 1983, a violent gust of wind knocked one of the Skyway cables out of its guide wheel, stranding 104 people on 40 feet off the ground for 2.5 hours until the Anaheim Fire Department brought them down by ladder trucks and cherry pickers. Only several people received minor scratches. Incident 20, Skyway Incident number 2. On April 17, 1994, a 30-year-old man fell approximately 20 feet from a gondola into a tree in front of Alice in Wonderland. Paramedics rescued him and took him to an area hospital for treatment for minor injuries. The man filed a $25,000 lawsuit against Disney, claiming that he had simply fallen out of the ride. However, just before the trial date in September 1996, the victim admitted that he had purposely jumped out of the ride. The suit was subsequently dropped. Incident 21, Space Mountain Incident number 1. On August 14, 1979, a 31-year-old woman became sick after riding Space Mountain. At the unload area, she was unable to exit the vehicle, although employees told her to stay seated while the vehicle was removed from the track. Other ride operators did not realize the vehicle was supposed to be removed, and they accidentally sent her through the ride a second time. She arrived at the unloading zone semi-conscious. The victim was taken to Palm Harbor Hospital, where she remained in a coma and died 1 week later. The coroner's report attributed the death to natural causes. A heart tumor had dislodged and entered her brain. Incident 22, Space Mountain Incident Number 2. In 1983, an 18-year-old teen from Quartz Hill, California, fell off Space Mountain and was paralyzed from the waist down. On March 7th, a jury found Disneyland blameless. During the trial, the jury was taken to the park to ride Space Mountain, and several of the ride's cars were brought into the courtroom to demonstrate their use. Incident 23, Space Mountain Incident Number 3. On August 2nd, 2009 people suffered minor injuries when the ride's safety control systems caused the train to abruptly stop. This was Space Mountain's first mechanical problem since its 1977 opening. Incident 24, Space Mountain Incident Number 4. In April 2013, Disney voluntarily closed Space Mountain, the Matterhorn Bobsleds, and soaring over California over OSHA-related issues so that employee safety protocols could be reviewed. Downtime for each attraction differed, with Space Mountain being closed the longest at 1 month. The safety review stemmed from 7 OSHA fines that were initiated from a November 2012 incident where a worker fell down the outside of the Space Mountain building and broke several bones.